had not yet toughened to the task of the new brace. The copper blamed himself for not taking the time for conditioning flights. Both he and Reg had been distracted by other matters, the copper with his plans for war against the pirates, Reg with his numerous projects. Reg had been behaving lately like a man with his brain aflame with genius, to the point the copper imagined smoke coming from his ears. Plans for improvements to the lava dome, and everything from dragon saddles to food storage silos, covered Reg's laboratory walls like intricately layered paper of a wasp nest. The copper, bound to his roving battle court watching training runs for the suppression of the pirate lords, had only taken to the air for brief periods of exercise before his daily consultations and messaging. Now he was paying for it in blood, pain, and torn flesh.
What's a little skin off my wing? If only Nilrasha, my queen, could see how gracefully I fly. Faster, without the constant lurching course corrections.
He promised himself a long, restful visit to his mate's eyrie if the war against the pirate lords proved victorious. Of course, if things went ill with the pirate lords, he might still join Nilrasha as an exile rather than as a conquering Tyre. Feeling ran hot in the lava dome against this war, which would benefit none but their allied human provinces in the upper world. Dragons bleed for Hypatia's need. Some young, freshly fledged dragons had sung outside his private air gallery before being chased away by his guard. He hadn't objected to the opinioneering so much as being awakened after a long night's work. Of course, he'd tried diplomacy. The Hypatians sent emissaries with demands that their former colonies of Swayport cease molesting their shipping and interfering with the fishing fleets. They'd returned with a tale of laughter and ridicule. The pirate lords claimed not to fear dragons, presenting trophies of a victory against the wizards' dragon riders 20 years back, when dragons who had assaulted their fortress fell before its gates. He wondered if the pirates had considered that dragons fighting under Rain and Ryder fought very differently from dragons directed by their own commanders in Tyre. They showed no sign of it in their brag and bluster. Thinking didn't help with the pain. So much flying. He regretted not accompanying the surfwater forces, but a Tyre's place when going to war was at the head of his aerial host, even at the cost of some pain. But the hurt did bring one benefit. It put him in a foul mood. Nothing like pain and the smell of blood to fill the fire bladder and set it quivering. He was ready for battle. Lights twinkled on the horizon. Swayport at last. The copper's sharp eyes picked out the outlines of the port. From his position, a good score of dragon lengths above the water, with the rocky coast to the west and the gentle inland ocean night to the east, Swayport, as seen from the air, resembled a reclining cat facing out toward the ocean, its spine in a gentle curve creating a sheltered bay. Against its belly was the port itself, a long crescent of sand beach protected by a barren bar exposed at low tide. The cat's dangerous, to rodents anyway, sea were stuck out as a series of rocks perilous to mariners approaching from the north, its long tail a wave-breaking sandbar to the south. A rocky bluff at the cat's head held an ancient sloping fortress of double walls and 3 towers with its own wharf between the forelimbs. The fortress had been built an age ago by the Hypatian Empire at the height of its wealth and power, and the wharf was intended so that the defenders might be resupplied by sea if the rest of the landward settlement fell. The town of the pirate lords proper had not been so solidly built. A tangle of streets and structures of wood and stone rose to the temple domes on the cat's haunches. The pirate lords no longer worshipped the gods of their forefathers there. Instead, the temples sheltered gambling and drink and slave auctions, the usual low pursuits of men who lived by fighting and pillage. He'd promised to hand them back to the Hypatians, with only minor scorching. Swayport, and 6 other colonies on this coast like it, had long since declared their independence from the old Hypatian order. In the best of times there was trade across the inland ocean, at other times war, and chafing between rival fishing fleets and trading lines in every sea.